Hello students. So last time we have started the respiratory system. Again the chapter number is 6. So last time we have talked about the aerobic as well as the anaerobic respiratory system. Now today we'll talk the respiration in plants as well as respiration in animals. In respiration in plants, you know that the plants, they are living organisms, so they need oxygen and they release carbon dioxide. Now in the plants, you know that the stomata are there. We have already talked about the stomata, the structure of the stomata. So through the stomata, the oxygen and the carbon dioxide, that is exchanged. At night, when there is no photosynthesis, रात को photosynthesis नहीं होता, so plants they take out the carbon dioxide which is formed because of respiration through the stomata. So रात को प्लांट के नीचे नहीं बैठते हम, क्यों? क्योंकि रात को फोटोसिंथेसिस नहीं होता. जब फोटोसिंथेसिस नहीं होता तो रेस्पिरेशन होता है. सो रेस्पिरेशन में द कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड कम्स आउट एंड दैट कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड comes out from the stomata of the plant during the night time. But during the daytime, when the photosynthesis is taking place, at the same time respiration is also taking place. So the carbon dioxide which is released because of respiration, that is used up by the plant for photosynthesis. So जो दिन में कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड प्रोड्यूस होती है प्लांट के अंदर बिकॉज ऑफ रेस्पिरेशन, that carbon dioxide is used up by the plant for photosynthesis. So during the daytime the plants don't release oxygen. Plants don't release carbon dioxide. Why? Because the carbon dioxide is already used for photosynthesis, but during the daytime the plant release oxygen. तभी कहते हैं कि दिन में प्लांट्स के नीचे बैठ जाओ क्योंकि वहाँ से ऑक्सीजन निकलती है. सो एंड वी टेक द ऑक्सीजन. बट रात को प्लांट के नीचे नहीं बैठना चाहिए क्योंकि रात को प्लांट में से कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड निकलती है. ये कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड या ऑक्सीजन कहाँ से निकलती है? थ्रू द स्टोमेटा. सो दिस इज द रेस्पिरेशन इन प्लांट्स. नेक्स्ट कम द रेस्पिरेशन इन एनिमल्स. नाउ द different animals have different organs for respiration. Different animals have different organs for respiration, and these organs they take up the oxygen and release the carbon dioxide because photosynthesis animal में नहीं होती. So animal में the various respiratory organs they take up the oxygen from the environment and they release the carbon dioxide to the environment. Now the terrestrial animals जो हैं, terrestrial animals कौन से होते हैं? जो ज़मीन पे रहते हैं. Like we are terrestrial animals. These terrestrial animals they take the oxygen for respiration from the atmosphere. जैसे हम जो हैं, हम ऑक्सीजन कहाँ से लेते हैं? एयर से. एयर कहाँ पे प्रेजेंट है? एटमॉस्फेयर में. So the terrestrial animals they take up the oxygen required for respiration from the atmosphere. But in aquatic animals are the animals which live in water. So in aquatic animal the oxygen is not taken from the atmosphere but they take the oxygen which is dissolved in water. So water के अंदर oxygen is soluble, so the dissolved oxygen is taken for respiration by the aquatic animals. Now let us talk about one activity which is given in your book, that is fishes. Fishes, they are aquatic animals. Now if you see a fish in the aquarium में, जो काफ़ी लोगों के घरों में भी होगा, aquarium में अगर तुम fish को देखो तो you will find that the fishes open and close their mouths. वो एक बार ओपन करती है माउथ, फिर दोबारा क्लोज कर देती है, फिर ओपन करती हैं, फिर क्लोज करती हैं. ओके, सो एंड थ्रू दिस माउथ एंड थ्रू द गिल स्लिट्स. नाउ व्हाट आर गिल स्लिट्स? उनकी माउथ के पीछे की तरफ स्मॉल ओपनिंग्स आर देयर. दोज ओपनिंग्स आर नोन एज गिल स्लिट्स. and these gill slits are the special characteristics of the fishes. Gill slits जो हैं वो fishes के अंदर होती हैं, and these are again certain openings. These gill slits they are covered these gill slits are covered by the operculum. So operculum क्या है? It is just a coverage, it is a cover which cover the gill slits. So gill slits are covered with the operculum. These gill slits can be opened or can be closed with the help of an operculum. जैसे operculum suppose दरवाज़ा है एक, वो हम किसी रूम का दरवाज़ा बंद भी कर सकते हैं और खोल भी सकते हैं. Similarly, these gill slits can be opened or these gill slits can be closed with the help of an operculum. Okay, now you will find that the opening and the closing of the mouth and opening and the closing of the gill slits with the help of operculum, that is always coordinated. When the mouth is opened, the gill slits are closed, and when these gill slits are open, the mouth is always closed. So the opening and the closing of mouth and the gill slits, they are always coordinated. Okay, why? Because when the fishes open their mouth, the water goes inside. When the water goes inside, there are gills are there, and these gills take up the oxygen from the water, and that water जो है it comes out through the gill slits. So water comes out from the gill slits, whereas the water enter into the fishes through mouth. Okay, now when we compare the rate of respiration, तुमने देखा होगा, अगर तुम फिश को देखो तो यू विल फाइंड फिश जो है वो बहुत जल्दी सांस लेती है. 1 मिनट में वो बहुत बार सांस लेगी, 25-30 बार सांस लेगी. बट ह्यूमन में हम अगर अपनी देखें तो हम 1 मिनट में 10-12 बार सांस लेते हैं. सो इफ़ वी कंपेयर द रेट ऑफ रेस्पिरेशन इन द फिशेस and in human, you will find the rate of respiration is very high per minute in fishes compared to the human. Why it is so? It is because the dissolved oxygen, okay, the dissolved oxygen in the water is very less compared to the oxygen in the air. That means oxygen जो air में है that is 21%, but the dissolved oxygen in water is very less compared to the oxygen in the air. So these fishes, they respire many more time compared to human or compared to other terrestrial animals. This is the reason that the fishes close and open their mouth many times in 1 minute. Okay, now let us come to the terrestrial animals. Terrestrial animals means the animals which live on the land. Now in terrestrial animals there are different organs are present in different animals, क्योंकि terrestrial animal तो बहुत से हैं, बहुत से लोग हैं जो ज़मीन पे रहते हैं. In all those animals there are different organs are present for respiration. Now the organs which are there for respiration, they always increase the surface area. That means these organs which are present for respiration, their surface area should be increased. Okay, their surface area should be increased, and this surface area, what is the surface area? Surface area is the area through which the exchange of gases takes place. So the exchange of gases always takes place through the surface area. As a result, in terrestrial animal, the surface area must be in contact with the atmosphere, क्योंकि सरफेस एरिया से एक्सचेंज ऑफ गैसेज होता है. ऑक्सीजन गोज इनसाइड एंड कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड कम्स आउट, दैट इज नोन एज द सरफेस एरिया. सो दैट सरफेस एरिया इन टेरेस्ट्रियल एनिमल मस्ट बी इन कॉन्टैक्ट विद द एटमॉस्फेयर. Okay, as a result, the exchange of gases, as I told you, that takes through the surface area. Now if the exchange of the gases takes place through surface area, and by which mechanism the exchange of gases takes place? Through diffusion. Through diffusion, oxygen goes inside, carbon dioxide comes out. So for the respiration to occur through the surface area, this surface area must be very thin, because if they are thick, the exchange of gases cannot take place. So the surface area must be thin, and they must be protected inside the body of an organism, inside the body of an animal. Okay, now for that there is a passage मतलब एक रास्ता है जिससे एयर अंदर जाती है और बाहर आती है. So there is a passage which take the air in, and there is a passage which take the air out. Okay, and from the surface area again there is second passage, and that second passage take absorb the oxygen, and ultimately this oxygen which is taken in, it has to go to the cell. Okay, if I'll explain this again, two passages are there. One passage is the passage in which the air goes in and out of the body. Second passage is the passage by which the oxygen which is absorbed go to the or enter inside the cell. Okay, like this I'll explain you first, and then I'll, with the help of a diagram, and then I'll explain you. Now in human, when we talk about the respiration, in human the air enters through the nose के अंदर. So there is a nasal passage. I told you there are two passages. So one is a nasal passage. Nasal passage से through the nose the atmospheric air goes inside, and in this nasal, वो नाक के अंदर there is a cavity which is known as a nasal cavity, and this nasal cavity have small hairs in it. इस nasal cavity में छोटे छोटे hair होते हैं, and plus it is always moist. Why? Because so that when the air goes inside, some dust particle also enter inside the nasal cavity. These dust particles, they are trapped with the help of mucus which is present into the nasal cavity, and with the help of hairs which are again present in the nasal cavity. Now from the nasal passage there is a tube-like structure. This tube-like structure which is known as a trachea. This is known as a trachea. Okay, from the nasal passage this air goes into trachea. This goes into trachea. Now this is a trachea. This trachea के अंदर छोटी छोटी, you can see small C-shaped thickenings are there. C-shaped thickenings are there. Now these thickenings are made up of cartilage. These thickenings are made up of cartilage. क्यों cartilage की बनी होती हैं? क्योंकि अगर air अंदर जाती है या बाहर निकलती है, through this trachea the air goes inside or air goes out. Okay, suppose there is no air, the chances are there that this passage may get collapsed. ये passage जो है वो बंद हो जाए. So अगर बंद हो गया तो air अंदर भी नहीं जा सकेगी और कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड बाहर नहीं निकल सकेगी. So what will happen? The death of the person may take place. So this passage जो है, the passage of the air should always be opened. So with the help of these C-shaped cartilaginous rings, it does not allow the passage to get collapsed. वो हमेशा खुला रहता है, ये passage जो है ये बंद नहीं होता. Then when the air goes through the trachea and when this air reaches to the chest cavity, ये जो cavity है, this is a thoracic cavity known as a chest cavity. Now this trachea divides into two. एक इधर, one branch goes to one lung and the other branch goes to another lung. Now this branch which goes in the lungs, that is known as the bronchi. Then this bronchi divides into many small branches. Those small branches are known as the bronchioles. Branches are known as bronchioles. Again these bronchioles, ये जो bronchioles हैं, they further divide into very very small sac like structures which are known as the alveolar sac. So this alveolar sac, they are the surface area. Through the surface area of this alveolar sac, the exchange of gases takes place between the blood and the air which is present inside the alveolar sac. So the air is present inside the alveolar sac. Through the surface of the alveolar sac, the oxygen goes inside the blood, because these alveolar sac, they are surrounded by blood vessels or the blood capillaries. The exchange of gases means oxygen goes inside and carbon dioxide comes out through the alveolar sac, the lining of the alveolar sac. So ये surface area जो है alveolar sac जो है, it act as a surface area or it act as a surface for exchange of the carbon dioxide and oxygen. Now these are the alveoli. As I told you, these alveoli are sac like structure. These are sac like structure, and what is this? This is a respiratory bronchioles. Bronchioles जो हैं, they are small tube-like structures and which end into alveoli. Innumerable alveoli are present. Lakhs of alveoli are present in each lung. So remember, the exchange of gases takes place through the surface of the alveoli, and I told you कि जिस surface से exchange of gases has to take place, वो surface बहुत thin होना चाहिए. So the surface of this alveoli is very very thin. Okay, now you will find that these lungs, two lungs, they are present into the chest cavity. They are present into the chest cavity. You must have seen कि when we respire, this चेस्ट जो है वो ऊपर भी जाती है और नीचे भी आती है. These lungs, they are well protected, and I told you already in the last slide that these organs of respiration must be well protected. So these lungs जो हैं which act as organ of respiration, they are well protected by these bony like structure which is known as a rib cage. These are ribs. These ribs are bone like structures, so they form a cage like structure, and in this is known as a rib cage. In this it is labeled also that they are ribs. So all the ribs in human, there are 12 pair of ribs, and these ribs form a cage like structure. Similarly, the ribs are there on the other side also, and they form a cage like structure, and in this cage like structure the lungs are well protected. So you can see this is a lung. This lung is present inside the rib cage. Okay, now at the bottom there is a diaphragm. So what is the diaphragm? When the diaphragm increases, this diaphragm is U-shaped structure, U-shaped, or you can say the reverse C-shaped structure. This diaphragm when become flattened, अगर ये flat हो जाता है, otherwise it is a U-shaped structure, but when it becomes flat, the volume of the thoracic cavity increases, so that lungs की जो cavity है वो increase हो जाएगी. When the cavity increases, then the air from the nostril enter into the trachea. From the trachea it enters into the bronchus. From the bronchi it enters into the bronchiole and ultimately in the alveolar sac. But when this diaphragm it come to its original position, the thoracic cavity का volume जो है वो कम हो जाता है. As a result, the air from the alveoli through the bronchioles and the bronchi and the tracheae through the nostril, it goes out. Okay, so this is the respiratory system in the human. In human, respiratory system consists of nasal passage, then there is a trachea, then there is a bronchi, then there are bronchioles. Bronchioles में alveolar sac are there. So innumerable alveolar sac are present in both the lungs, or you can say what is the structural and functional unit of lung. Lungs का structural or functional unit कौन सा है? It is the alveoli. So alveoli are the structural and the functional unit of lungs, because it is through the surface of the alveoli that the exchange of gases takes place between the air which is present inside the alveoli and outside the blood vessels are present. Okay. Now if I just repeat, the nostrils, you know, nostrils means nose. The air from the atmosphere enters into the nostril. Nostril के अंदर hair are there and certain mucus is there, and I told you what is the function of the hair as well as the mucus, to trap any dust particle or any bacteria or any foreign particle. From the nostril the air goes into the throat. Throat, that is a trachea. Trachea से कहाँ जाएगा air? It goes to the lungs. Now lungs के अंदर the small tubes are there. These small tubes, what are these small tubes? The bronchi. These bronchi again divide into many still smaller tubes which are known as the bronchioles. These bronchioles, they further divide into certain sac like structure or balloon like structure, and ultimately this balloon like structure, they are known as the alveoli. As I told you, these alveoli, that they are surrounded by the network of blood vessels, and through the surface of alveoli the exchange of gases takes place between the blood and the air which is present inside the alveoli. Okay, I explained that to you in the last diagram. Then I told you that there is a diaphragm. You can see that your chest goes up and down. Why? Because of the movement of the diaphragm. So the chest cavity increases. When the chest cavity increases, when it will increase, when the diaphragm it becomes flat. I told you diaphragm जो है वो dome shaped structure है, but when this diaphragm become flat, the volume of the chest cavity increases. When the volume of the chest cavity increases, the air goes inside, so sucking of the air takes place, and when this air enter inside the alveoli expand. Alveoli जो है वो बैलून की तरह फूल जाते हैं, and the exchange of gases, exchange of oxygen and the carbon dioxide takes place between the alveoli and the blood, because these alveoli are surrounded with innumerable blood capillaries. So when inside the alveoli the air is there, they expand, and as a result the exchange of gases takes place. इस alveoli में से ऑक्सीजन जो है वो ब्लड के अंदर चला जाता है, एंड ब्लड से कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड जो है वो alveoli के अंदर आ जाती है. सो द एक्सचेंज ऑफ ऑक्सीजन एंड द कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड बिटवीन द ब्लड एंड द alveoli takes place. Okay, now this blood, which is known as an oxygenated blood. Why this blood is known as an oxygenated blood? Because now the oxygen is present inside the blood. This oxygenated blood जो है it goes inside the cell. वो जो ब्लड है वो सेल के अंदर चला जाता है, एंड सेल के अंदर जो ऑक्सीजन है वो जाता है, एंड इनसाइड द सेल इन द न्यूट्रिशन आई टोल्ड यू ऑलरेडी द व्हाट इज प्रेजेंट, the nutrients are present, and the oxygenation or the oxygen react with the glucose. If the food material, that is glucose, is present, it takes place, the food get oxidized to give rise to energy, and the energy as well as the waste material. Okay, now the residual volume. Okay, residual volume of the air in the lungs. Although the exchange of gases takes place, still alveoli के अंदर थोड़ी सी air हमेशा रहती है, and this air cannot come out. This is known as a residual volume of air in the lungs. So this residual volume is the volume of air which remains inside the lungs, always remains inside the lung. Lungs are never devoid of air. Some air, although if you exhale forcibly, अगर तुम जोर लगा के भी एयर को बाहर निकालो, in spite of that this residual air cannot come out from the lungs. Okay, now if the body of an organism is very large, like human being, the pressure of air inside the lung is, which is known as a diffusion pressure, and this diffusion pressure is not enough pressure. This diffusion pressure is not enough pressure through which these oxygen enter each and every cell. So in that case, the oxygen is taken out by all the parts of the body through the blood, and inside the blood there is a pigment which is known as a hemoglobin. So what is the function of the hemoglobin? Hemoglobin, it take up the oxygen, it have a high affinity for the oxygen. So inside the blood there is a respiratory pigment. वो किन एनिमल्स में होती है? जिसमें बॉडी जो है it is a large body size. If the body size of an organism is large, the pressure which is there, pressure of air which is there, it cannot send the oxygen to all parts of the body. As a result, there is a respiratory pigment which is present, and this respiratory pigment in human and in other animals also, that is known as a hemoglobin. This hemoglobin has high affinity for oxygen, and where this hemoglobin is present, this hemoglobin is present inside the RBC. What is RBC? Red blood corpuscles. Okay, now here again you have to remember one thing, carbon dioxide is more soluble in water compared to oxygen. जो solubility carbon dioxide की solubility है, it is more soluble in water than oxygen. Of course, the oxygen is also soluble in water, because the fishes take oxygen from the dissolved oxygen which is dissolved in water, but the amount of oxygen which is dissolved in water is much less compared to the carbon dioxide. So, carbon dioxide is transferred in the dissolved form in our blood. हमारे blood में carbon dioxide has to be removed, but this carbon dioxide which reaches to the alveoli, that get transported or that get transferred in dissolved form in our blood. Okay, this finishes the respiratory system in human as well as in other animals. Okay. So, in my next lecture, we will be talking about the transportation system. Transportation system means we will be talking about the heart, the structure of heart and the circulation of the heart. Thank you, students.